train yards, thinking about graveyards. I wonder, Lord, what would they ever write on mine? Another soul laid to rest on a cold Montana morning, just trying to make it north of 49.
Well, just rolled up here, so this is why I like setting my boxes where I can see them from the truck. I don't even have to get out. I know there's been nothing in them, but there is fresh tracks about 100 yards over on the road here. So I know a skunk was out last night, just didn't come here. But we're gonna have a busy day today. We'll go check a pile of stuff. So see what we got. Out checking some weasel boxes here. So we got this beaver house, and I'll show you in a minute. I'm saving this one just because it's not really bothering the road at all. It's one that I can target later in the year, but I'm going to show you where I know I'm going to set my traps later on and how. But for right now, I got this weasel box here. The weasel's been all around it, but I actually haven't gone into it. So the lure I was using was skunk fire, and I'm going to give it one more check, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to put some actual weasel lure in there. But let's go look at this house for a second. And it snowed here, so obviously hard to see what's under the ice, but you can kick it off. So I know right over here they were coming up, but this isn't where their run is. You would think it's right in here, but you look, there's no real bubble trails. But, and I don't really want to step here, right over here, not there, right here. So I'm not going to step there because that's where they're coming in and out of the house, is right back in that little hole there. They got another one just over on the other side. So gonna cover this back up. We don't want the ice building really heavy here if I'm gonna be setting traps, but that's why I'm not too worried about trapping it right now, is because I know where the two entrances are on this house. So I can trap this really easily in, you know, January, February, when the hides get super prime. So we're gonna leave this one. I got half a dozen spots like this where I'm just leaving them, letting the hides prime up, because I could trap them right now, but you know, they're nowhere near prime here. It's still November, so I'm gonna leave them for a bit, and we'll come back later in the year. Well, and we're at the very next box here, so piles of weasel tracks, and they actually went into this one. I can see the trap is fired off, so not sure what happened. Not sure why he didn't get caught or didn't die there. So sometimes you'll get a weasel comes out and he'll die right in front of the trap, but that is what it is. We're gonna reset this one, and hopefully next time we'll actually kill him. I'll make sure there's bait in there too. Well, another day checking this spot. So the mink came across here last time, so I decided to put 110 in there. I've still got my foothold set up just in here. I dabbed around at the snow to make it a little bit darker. Hopefully they're gonna come across. And our baited bucket is still right here. I have to make sure. You see, one jaw is definitely not frozen, but yeah, there we go. Just worried about that bottom jaw freezing to the ice there. So nothing's gone in there. I don't see any fresh weasel or mink tracks here either. Actually, it's either a little vole or a least weasel. But yeah, took about a week last time for the mink to come back through here. So hopefully next week they'll come through again and we'll get them. We're at this wetland here. So we trapped here earlier in the year. We got a couple of beavers out. The beavers had a dam actually down the ditch. So the issue we're having here is there's a beaver dam down this way that's holding back about a foot more water, foot and a half more water than normal. So this area is really bad for floodwater coming up in February and flooding onto the road, because there's only, you know, foot and a half difference or so Not even 2 feet, less than 2 feet. So we're gonna go in here. There's a piping system. I'm gonna try and get it back underneath the ice. I see there's a pile of weasel tracks here. I think they're all weasel. Maybe it's a little mink, because that's a pretty big gap it's spreading across there. But it looks like a big short tail or a little long tail. So one of the two. But we're gonna go across here. As you can see, there's a feed pile. There are beavers in here. Now their house is, I remember seeing the air bubbles a week or two ago. And they're actually living in one bank den just on the other side of Jack, one there. There's one there, and then there's an old house just over here. They got 2 runs in. So it's a small feed pile, although this is a pretty deep water pocket here. It's probably 12-15 feet in some spots. This was dug out originally by the farmers probably 30 years ago, this area here. So yeah, we're gonna go up ahead here. We're gonna get that chipped out, and then later in the winter we're gonna come back and we're actually gonna trap the beavers out of here, because they do cause issues for us every year, especially in the spring. So give you a look at what we're working with here in a minute. So here we got our pond leveler pipes, and they end up heaving up. And just check this ice around here first. We're always worried about ice thickness, and especially with how often it changes being on these dams. So there's, well, you can see actually a little pocket. There's open water right here. So there's lots of little open pockets back here in these bogs. You really have to be careful when you're walking, especially first ice. And then February is another really bad time when water starts washing up from down below. And any of these narrow spots like where I walk through right here, they can get really thin. Sometimes there's not even any ice on them, it's just snow over top, so you gotta be careful. But so we have these pipes here. They heaved up, and the reason why they heaved was so much material was piled on them here. And yeah, it must not have been able to burp properly. I know I drilled holes in the top of this, so it shouldn't have heaved up, but I see the holes are plugged. So we're gonna chip this all out, sink this pipe, and hopefully the discharge end, because it was down about 2 feet, hopefully the discharge end is deep enough that it's not frozen, and it'll start flowing, and it'll be able to keep the water down on this side enough that it's not going to come up on the road. It won't really change the water level much. It's just going to take care of that overflow so it doesn't keep rising and rising. So we'll get this put in, and yeah, I'll give you a look at that. So we took about 15 minutes here. We got this all chipped out. There's about 4.5 inches of ice here. I was surprised. But I ended up nicking, I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but I ended up hitting the side of the pipe with the ice chisel. I think it's over there, but you guys won't be able to see it anyway. And busting a hole in it. So I'll have to come in here in the spring and fix that. But what I've done is I've just sunk the pipes, let all the air burp out of them, that sort of thing. And then I took this log from off the dam over here, and I pushed it down, put the float underneath that. That way it's down probably about 8-10 inches. The pipes are at least a foot underneath the ice, and that way they're not going to freeze up again tonight, the next couple days. Here's actually a chunk of PVC that I busted off. I'll throw that in my pocket. But what we're doing here is we're letting the water flow back here. So I was actually hoping to find the end of the pipes for you, and I couldn't. But you can see how turbulent it is through here. So you know those pipes are actually working. And all this ice here is gonna melt out. It's gonna end up looking like that little hole over there. But yeah, so that's a success. We're gonna get this water down. Like I said, we aren't worried about it too much right now. It's February when that water really starts to build up and cause issues, and it floods over onto the road over there. So for how little we spend on these pond levelers, it's probably $70 worth of material. And yeah, I don't know, it took me an hour and a half to install it over a year ago. I haven't been back in over a year, so this is the first time. Let's call it an hour a year is the expense on this pond leveling system. and for what it's going to do, save us this road over here, it's paying dividends on the work we put in, the materials, the material cost. So I know a lot of trappers don't agree with these or don't like them or don't use them for whatever reason, but it's just another tool in the toolbox. Keep on trapping. The main root of the problem obviously is the beavers. These are just a tool to help keep your roads from getting wrecked and that sort of thing, and in my case give me more time to deal with an entire county by myself, or two in my case actually. So yeah, okay, let's get back to trapping. Okay, let's see. Nothing in this guy either. It looks like, yeah, still set. But there's weasel tracks right down there. I don't know, guys. This year there's a pile of mice around, so, oh, and even right there, you can see a couple weasel tracks. So there's a pile of mice and voles around this year. I'm wondering if the weasels just aren't happy. I might have to start using some gland lure in the box or something. But I see the beavers built a dam right up there, which we really don't want them to do, because that's actually higher than the road, which means it's going to flood around this way. Hopefully it'll make it down the ditch and it isn't going to cause issues, but usually the landowner rips those out when they start building up there. So, but I think I'm going to try and put a mink set in here. I know there's quite a few mink come through here, so I think what I'm going to do is block off with some stuff across this side and put the trap over to one side. Okay, here's what I came up with. So I go 110 down on the side, and I just threw a bunch of what's that, burr marigold in there. What a dreadful plant that is. I'm covered in the stupid things. So just kind of made a mess. That way hopefully he comes up, he sees that's the cleanest way to go through. And yeah, I made sure it's up out of the water so it's not going to freeze either. That's something I'm always worried about. So yeah, so close on this one. He didn't even go in the box at all. Just tracks right in front of it, and he's got a hole there. So yeah, I'd say they're not hungry. They're I'm gonna have to buy some gland lure or something to start using to get those weasels to commit. So we threw a new piece of bait in here just because the weasels had taken it out. And down there, right in the middle of the creek, you can see the stick sticking up. Put a 110 on there, and we kind of made a mess around it. We could feel with the stick and find the hard bottom, the gravelly bottom. So we know that's where the animals are swimming through. So it's going to be under the ice, something that's going to work when this freezes up. And then I found a little hole over here, and this has all been staying open because the current's going down and keeping this open here. So I found a pocket to set up there. I threw a piece of fish, a little bit of mink gland in there, and then some trout oil. So I got my stick out here on the end of the cable. It's about 3.5 feet of water. So got lots of depth to drown them there. But don't see any fresh mink tracks here. Don't even see any fresh weasel tracks actually, other than the ones that were right here. So yeah, gonna be another day without any catches, it looks like. But see if we get any.